Hi, and welcome to this month's Body Signals workshop called Boost Your Immune System in 21 Days. We're doing these workshops to be able to educate and inform not only our patient community, but our community at large. So we hope you find these educational and informative. And we just want to make sure that every month we're giving up good topics, kind of get you to think about your current health and wellness. So this month is again focused on the immune system. So how about we just skip flu season this year, or possibly next year and the years following after that? We chose this topic because it's a big thing that tends to happen after our holiday season. The flu tends to be more problematic in our communities, with Halloween, Thanksgiving, the Christmas time, New Year's. We're probably not eating as well as we should with the cookies, the candies, the cakes, and et cetera, et cetera. All the parties and traveling, seeing friends, family. We tend to be stressed and burned out and tend to be exhausted. So, you're definitely going to be more susceptible to being sick at that time, right? Or getting sick. And so this workshop's here to kind of help you maybe reduce the chance of you getting sick again this year. So, in essence, we kind of know the truth. You really don't get sick, you do sick, right? Because you're doing all the things we just spoke about, not eating well, maybe not exercising, stressed out all the time, those sort of things. So, and one of the things that really kind of gets at me a little bit is they call it the flu season. But if you look up the flu season, all right, on you Google flu season, how long is it? It tends to be from October all the way to May. To me, that's a little more than just the season, don't you think? Typically, in February it tends to be the height of the season, so we hear more about it in the media, and the news, and what have you. But for me, it tends to be more than just a season. It tends to be something a little more than that. And really, if you look at some statistics, how big of a problem is flu season or flu in itself? The CDC, the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta, says that 5 to 20% of Americans will get the flu. So really, in essence, that's kind of not a huge amount. You would think, you think about friends, families, coworkers who aren't feeling well at the moment. You think that number would be a little higher, but that's what the statistics show. And the amount of money that it has costed to help rid the people of some flu season or treat the flu in that time frame. I mean, we're talking about $10 billion in direct costs, countless billions in lost productivity with being absent, okay, people who actually come to work being sick, infecting other people, the amount of hospital bills and what have you. It's a huge amount of money that it takes to help treat this particular infection. So we just want you to ask yourself, do you want to get sick this year? Can you afford to get sick this year? Those are some great questions to think for yourself. Hopefully at the end of this workshop, you'll have some tips and tools and some things you can do to make sure that you don't get sick this year. So looking at this continuum, it's a great little continuum to look at. You look on the right side here, we got the high level wellness. On the left side, we have premature death. And, symptoms kind of tell us in what direction we are headed. If you don't have symptoms, you might be right here in the middle, right? If you do have some symptoms, you're actually on the other side, right? Where you're going towards a more unhealthy approach, where you're looking at premature death. Of course, the amount of signs, symptoms, disability kind of puts you more into this particular portion of the paradigm or the continuum, right? But you don't have any signs or symptoms, and you seem to be pretty aware of your health. You try to get educated about your health often, and you try to grow as a person, you're probably at a high level of wellness, and that's a great place to be, is on this right side here. And hopefully the things we talk about today kind of get you leaning or moving towards that side. Okay. So body signals are symptoms. So if you look at the tip of this iceberg, that's kind of the body signals and symptoms we're talking about. It's a small portion of actually what the underlying problem is, right? So if you were to take a cruise ship, let's say to the Alaskan Sea, the seas outside Alaska, you'll see the iceberg, but what you don't realize is all this big thing underneath there, right? All right, there's a lot of other things that may be happening causing these body signals or symptoms, and we're going to kind of go over a few of those things as well today. So some big thoughts is getting sick is a part of health. So when we describe being sick, what comes to mind for you? Sniffles, sneezing, fever, vomiting, diarrhea, exhaustion. If you really break down each of those symptoms, okay, are you really getting sick or are you really getting well? In my eyes, you're actually getting well, right? Because your body is actually doing what it's supposed to be doing, right? If you're having symptoms, right? If you're having sneezing, you're having a fever, you're vomiting, you're fighting an infection, right? So you're trying to get well. You're not really getting sick, okay? So watch the way you describe that, all right? For me, kind of think of that in a different way. So instead of saying I'm getting sick, say something like you are fighting something, or I've been doing sick the last few days, okay? All right, for me, that'd be a better way to describe it. And you know your body's smart, all right? All right. Our body signals tells us that our body's taking action. It's trying to fight whatever is happening with you, okay? So it really should, if you look at it, should you interfere too much? Certainly with fevers and vomiting and such as that, oftentimes you have to kind of monitor that, all right? How bad is the fever, all right? Obviously, if it gets over 104 or what have you, you want to try to reduce the fever a little bit. Do you want to reduce it completely? I would say no, because the fever is there to do what? Raise your body temperature to help get that organism, whatever is attacking you, out of your system. So think about that in that regard. So don't suppress the body's response too much, or otherwise you're going to prolong the infection or the whatever's happening to you. And this is going to take a lot more time for you to recover. So your immune system is an expensive system energetically, and that's why you get tired when you're sick as well. So listen to your body and rest when that occurs. So you don't get sick, you do sick. Okay, so you need to listen to your body. If you need to take some time off, you need to take time off, right? And just as you say you don't get sick, you do sick. You don't get healthy, you do healthy. And that is what tonight and today's workshop is all about, and what this workshop is all about. So looking at the left side here, this is a diagram of a fire, right? So the fire inside of us is our immune system, right? It wants to fight off, things that are invading our bodies. But it needs three elements, right? It needs to have fuel, it needs to have some air, and it needs to have spark in order to have a big burning, raging fire, right? So fuel is kind of the things, how we eat, how we move, and how you think. All right, these three elements come together, and you got yourself a big raging fire. And if you're missing any of these, your fire is not going to be as well as it should be, right? And kind of we'll go over those three elements throughout the workshop today. So our health is compounding, all right? So this is really kind of how you do health, all right? Or you do sick. So your health experience is the cumulative effect of how you choose to eat, how you choose to move, how you choose to think. And these choices over time have a compound effect. It's just as it is with money and wealth, compounding interest or compounding debt. So increasing wealth or increasing debt. So the longer you stay healthy, the healthier you get. So the longer you stay sick, the sicker you get. So think about that. So the things you eat, move, and think over time will either make you healthy or they're going to make you sick. So with this slide, the do's and don'ts. Let's talk about your choices and how they impact your ability to fight infection and stay well. So let's look at, building your immune system strength very strategically. Remember, you don't get sick, you do sick. So let's talk about doing healthy. So we're going to take the traffic light approach, okay? We have the traffic light here on the left-hand side. We all love our to-do lists, don't we? But some of us need a stop doing list, don't we? Think about that for a second. Do you need to have a stop doing list? I know years ago I started to build my stop doing list as well. All right, so maybe you need to readjust your list and stop doing some of the things on it. And then just slow down. We just have to. Some things we just need to reduce out of our life and just take a step back and just take a breather and just slow down. So this is not about, perfection, right? But progression. So, maybe you need to say yes, that, what, I'm not perfect, but I need to progress and maybe stop doing so much, slow down a little bit, breathe in, take a breath, let go of that pursuit of perfection, because you know what? It will stress you out, don't you think? And certainly there are some things that we probably need to start doing, don't you think? Like this workshop, to boost our immune systems. Because if our immune system's strong, guess what? We're going to stay healthy all year long, right? All right. So one of the elements of the fire, right, is fuel, okay, or how you eat, the things you're putting in your body, right? Very important. So for you to be healthy, your cells must be healthy. They require certain vitamins and minerals for the cells to function and battle infection, right? There's a number of essential elements that you need. And so the natural state of your body is to express health, right? It's not really to express disease. So if you're not expressing health and you're sick, then it means that something's interfering with your natural expression of health. So interference is caused by toxicity or deficiency, or particularly even both. So eating whole foods, all right? Think about whole foods when you eat, okay? If you're looking at, the supermarket, if you're picking up foods for the most part on the outside of the supermarket, you're probably having a good nutritional program. If you're eating a lot of stuff out of boxes and bags, probably not the best items to be choosing, correct? So choose real food, whole, unprocessed foods in its natural state as much as possible. And certainly we're going to kind of, touch base that here in another few seconds or so. But what you don't want is unnatural, chemical-laden GMO foods that are toxic, tax your cells, and ultimately your immune system. And we'll get to more of that here as well in just a second. So some good foods to fuel your body. Obviously, we probably all know this, but let's just kind of rehash it again. Unlimited vegetables, abundant, lean, natural meats. Doing some fruit, not a lot of fruit, okay? Nuts and seeds, and certainly limited starch and no sugar, okay? And it tends to be on a diet that's more of a paleo correct, okay? So if you want to Google that, you can get some more information regarding that. But that's a really good part of an overall healthy lifestyle, okay? So you're just eating to boost your immune system strength. So where's the plants, the fat, and the protein, right? These are the kind of the amounts that you want to look at. So if you look at a plate, okay, you want about this much of protein, okay? The rest of it, is all going to be all veggies. And then make sure you're putting in some good fats as well. All right, so this is what your plate needs to look like at every meal. So some do's and don'ts of eating. The do's, all right, we'll start with those, is non-starchy vegetables, okay? Some fruit, not a lot of fruit, okay? A lot of folks with the fruits and veggies tend to go more on the fruit side. That tends to be more problematic than just going with those non-starchy veggies. Meat, poultry, fish, range-fed eggs, natural fats, okay? The almonds, the walnuts, avocados, things of that nature. Okay, I even did some of the nuts and seeds as well. Again, those kind of have those nice healthy fats, really great source of nutrition for you. And drinking water, okay? And one of the worst things you can do in the don't side, and just kind of, coming with from drinking from water, is soda, juices, and alcohols. If you're drinking your calories, that's a no-no, all right? You really want to make sure that you're drinking more of the water and not drinking all these here as well. And so some more don'ts is the refined carbohydrates, the breads, okay, the pastas, the cookies, the cakes, all those sort of things, all those refined carbs. Cereal grains, sweeteners like the Equals and the, what's some of the other ones again? This one's so long I've never used them, so I don't know the names of all of them off the top of my head. The bad vegetable oils, the ones that are hydrogenated, stay away from those. Dairy products, really limiting dairy products is a good idea. I tend to eat more of the goat milk, almond milk, things of that nature. I'll from time to time I do some dairy as well, but not a lot. And then certainly sugar, okay, because sugar is definitely an element that definitely decreases our immune system. Been well documented in that regard. And our cells have a higher affinity for sugar. So if your cells have a higher affinity for it, your brain's going to run on sugar. Sugar goes into the cells instead of the vitamin C. So sugar is going to hit the cells first before it does anything else. And then your immune system is going to have a hard time fighting infection if that's the case. So some good supplements to consider. All right, and these are evidence-based. Everyone needs to be on these, in my opinion. Omega-3 fatty acid fish oils, probiotics, whole food supplements, vitamin D, and vitamin C. Omega-3s helps with reducing chronic cellular inflammation. Probiotics help to boost the normal gut flora, help support that. Whole food supplements, it's just a good multivitamin, multimineral, and vitamin D and vitamin C for the immune system. So need to be on those, all right, to really boost your health and wellness and boost your immune system. Some other ones to consider, certainly these are kind of your extra helpers. All right, certainly if you're not feeling well, colloidal silver is known to be a broad spectrum antimicrobial, so it heals wounds easily or easier or faster. Elderberry is one that helps fight colds and flu. It gives you a faster recovery. Echinacea, all right, is it strengthens the immune system, especially effective with upper respiratory infections. For me, on echinacea, if I start to feel like I might be coming down with something or starting to get well or what have you, I'll take some echinacea, and that tends to help boost that and not have much trouble afterwards. Ginger is a good detoxification and anti-inflammatory, and ginseng tends to be a good antibacterial and antiviral mediator. So the other element we're going to discuss, okay, we already did fuel. We're going to talk about air, right? We need a lot of air in order to fuel or to make a good fire, all right? So inside of us, the air we're talking about is how you move, okay? So movement is a big one on doing healthy or doing sick. So it depends on those three things, right? We already talked about the fuel, air, spark, how you eat, how you move, and how you think. So what we know about movement is it's a definite required nutrient. Your cells expect and require movement as much as they do water or oxygen. And with movement, it helps to reduce stress. So in fact, neurologically, it is your reset button from fight or flight to rest and repair. So when you're fighting something or recovering from an illness, you may need to rethink that as well, right? Because you want to reset that button. So as you are recovering from getting well again, you need to take some rest too. So making sure you know when and how to move, that's very important. And so when you aren't doing well, you're not feeling well, redirect that energy to healing and recovery, not so much with a lot of movement. So, nothing wrong with taking a day off too. But for the most part, to stay healthy and well, you want to keep moving. When you're not feeling so healthy and well at the moment, take that time off. Don't stress your body more by doing too much. So with exercise, exercise is big with healing and with immunity. The benefits of regular exercise, you hear it all the time in the news and the media, it's just massive. It is a required nutrient, so lack of movement upsets the normal cell function, and all of our movement patterns and cycles really drive normal hormonal cycles in the neuroendocrine system. And so getting proper rest and sleep, getting good movement and exertion at times, helps to really improve those movement patterns and cycles. That way your hormones are functioning the best that they can. So movement also promotes normal, healthy circulation of blood, as well as the lymphatic system. So, your lymphatic system is the janitorial system of the body, and it is crucial to optimal immune system function. So when you're fighting off something, the lymphatic system needs to be operating properly in order for everything to clear and clean out of your body. So exercise, but again, if you aren't doing well, you're fighting something, rest is going to be the key. So knowing when and not to exercise is important, as knowing when to exercise, right? So nothing wrong if you're fighting something, you got to take the day off, reserve the energy in your body. As you know, exercise takes a lot of energy. If you're using all that energy for exercise and you're trying to fight something, make sure you're reserving that energy for your immune system so that way it can battle for you as much as possible. So listen to your body, rest, nap, sleep, recover. Those are the steps you want to take when you're fighting something. So exercise is great, all right, most of the time, but if you're fighting something, you want to take time and rest and really keep your energy for fighting that infection or whatever it is you're fighting. So sleep, as we mentioned previously, sleep 7 to 8 hours is what's best practices. Even more if you're fighting something, obviously, everyone who's been sick knows that the more you rest, the quicker you're going to recover. I tend to nap every day. I certainly suggest that for everyone else. Now, I don't say nap for 2 hours, but I tend to take a good 10 to 15 one every day, most days. Sometimes I do miss, but it just happens that way sometimes. But I do try to get I know I get at least 8 hours of sleep, and I'm definitely trying to nap or even close my eyes for a few minutes every day as well. So the third element we kind of spoke upon was spark, right? How you think. You need that spark to light the fire, right? So a lot of things that we do in our body, in our brain, when we're thinking about things, our thoughts kind of direct, where our body is going to go. All right, so it's a huge and critical thing to discuss. So we want our immune system to be burning bright, like that fire, right? So how we choose to think, okay, our thoughts, our thought patterns, they really have a massive influence on our body chemistry. And if it's affecting your body chemistry, it's going to affect how your immune system functions as well. So having stressful thought patterns produces stressful hormones, and it certainly is going to cause you to have your physiology be adaptive as well. So it's going to change your physiology. So because stress hormones, they put you in fight or flight. And when you're in fight or flight, it tends to down-regulate your immune system, which means it's going to depress your immune system and it's not going to function at its best. So energy is redirected, away from the immune system if you're not thinking positively, and tends to be more towards your musculoskeletal system. So when you're stressed out, all right, and your muscles and your bones aren't feeling great, you're stressed, your body's preparing to fight or flee from a threat outside of your body. Think about what a tiger might do if he's being threatened or what have you, or under a lot of stress. And your body will innately decide to temporarily ignore the risks, all right? And then, you start to get a virus, okay? Or you're more susceptible to that virus. So how you think, all right, if you're stressed and those stress hormones are really elevated, you are looking at a road of not being well for a period of time. So a premise that we're going to discuss is healthy is normal. Your body is smart. The nervous system is the master system. Your nervous system controls everything in your body. Your brain, your spinal cord, into the nerves, okay? That is controlling everything. And the spine is really your suit of armor. And modern life, as you know it, is unnaturally stressful. I think we all could probably agree with that. And our stress response, and I'm not going to discuss every single one of these elements, but this is the things that happen when your body adapts to stress, okay? Our physiology will be what we call adaptive, all right? It's going to change things inside our body, all right? Our blood pressure is going to be elevated, heart rate will be elevated, our muscle tone is going to be increased, digestion's upset, we may have a reduced sex drive, okay? Serotonin levels get decreased. We tend to be hypersensitive, so stimuli tends to be more increased as well. We tend to have more fears, more anxiety. Our insulin sensitivity gets depressed. Our blood sugar goes up. Our HDL, LDLs will start changing, okay? And, ultimately our immune system and our immune response gets downregulated. And these really all set us up for a lot of different things. But really, the most, if we look at blood sugar, heart rate, and all that, we're looking at diabetes, heart disease, heart attack, all those sort of things are one of the major reasons for a stress response, from a stress response. So what are some sources of stress? You probably can think of some at the moment. It's our thoughts, all right, toxins, whether it be things we put in our body or things that are around our body in the environment, and then traumas. Traumas certainly we deal a lot with here in our office, whether it be macro and micro. We're going to talk about those here in a moment. But these are the real sources of stress, the three sources of stress, the 3 T's as we call it. So macro trauma is just as you see here. It's a big event that happened, right? You had a car accident. Maybe you had a sports injury. Maybe you had a major slip and fall, okay? These are certainly obvious physical stressors. These are going to obviously cause some pain and overt signs of damage. And they certainly can be serious for sure, right? Depending on the severity of that accident or trauma. But they can also cause something that may not be so obvious. And we see those in our office quite often as well. I have a number of patients in the office who had a car accident maybe a few years back, didn't think nothing of it at that point, but then years later they start to develop issues in those regions that didn't know that the result of that previous trauma. So we're always asking patients about previous traumas, when we see them in our office. And one of the ones that we see more often in our office is these micro traumas, right? On how we're handling technology devices, how we're sitting at a computer, how we're engaging with those things at home. Other things can be doing it as well. But so many of us tend to be feeling like, well, maybe I'm spending way too much time sitting in front of a screen. Maybe some of your family members are doing it. How about your kids? I need to limit mine for that. So how many think that those sort of things are unhealthy? Probably in many ways they are unhealthy. All right, probably more than we know at this point. But we certainly deal with some of these in our office. Trying to get you to use your cell phone more appropriately. Your tablets, your computers, and certainly other things depending on the type of job that you may be doing. But there is, over time, they might not have an issue in 1 month, but over time they start to really wear on your health. So our suit of armor, our spinal column, all right. These vertebrae here, okay, they act like a suit of armor protecting the delicate nerves that send messages to every part of the body. So back here is where the spinal cord is. These little holes here is kind of depicting where the nerves are. So these vertebrae are doing a really big job, right? They are protecting our control system, our master system, our nervous system. So if this stays healthy, your communication to all your body, right, the control system is going to be optimal, right? It's going to be working the way it needs to. Therefore, your entire body is going to start working better as well. So if you want a healthy body, then you need a healthy nervous system. If you want a healthy nervous system, you need a healthy spine. So macro trauma causes damage to your spine and connective tissues, the ligaments, muscles, and tendons, the spinal joints. More significant trauma creates nerve system stress and interference in those communications. It changes the information going to and from the body and the brain. So up here will be the brain, and down here is into the entire body. So if there's anything going on with this spine, the communication system is going to be depressed. It's not going to function the way it needs to. It's going to interfere with healthy function, and it's not going to heal as quickly as it needs to. So this is what we call a subluxation, okay, that causes all these sort of things. You have joint misalignment, soft tissue damage, inflammation, nerve irritation, spasms, joint fixation, lost inhibition, which is getting water content into the joints, right? And it's going to elevate your stress hormones, right? That fight or flight. So a lot of different things happen when you're having these subluxations. And subluxation causes nerve irritation, interference in your body's innate ability to heal and remain healthy. So how do you know if you have a subluxation? Well, in our office, we use these 5 objective criteria. We use instrumentation, motion palpation, static palpation, postural analysis, and x-ray. So we're looking at, all right, how everything's moving, all right, how it is feeling upon non-movement, right? How are the muscles, all right? And also looking at your posture, okay? We're always looking at head position, shoulder position, pelvic position, how are your knees located, all those sorts of things. And then certainly we'll look on x-ray, all right? Looking to see if alignment is where it needs to be. This is a pretty good aligned spine right here, but is this one forward? Is it over here? So those are the things that we are looking at. So all this information is brought together to determine the cause of your problem so that we can correct the cause, not just treat your symptoms, okay? And so how could you correct the cause and get back to health if you never really find out the root of the problem? Go back to where that iceberg was, right? Let's say you have back pain, right? That's kind of the tip of the iceberg, but down below all that, how's the posture? How is things moving? What's the x-ray look like? So all things are factors in what we determine for treatment as well. So adjusting for recovery, okay? When you're not feeling well, adjustments are one of the best things you can do, right? In fact, when my kids get sick or my wife gets sick or family members, what have you, they're going to make sure that they're getting extra adjustments that time, that week or what have you. So we've got to make sure that we're breaking bad habits as well. We looked at the technology, working on a phone better, working on a laptop better, making sure we're not having bad habits when we're doing our daily routine, and certainly giving you some exercises as well. So when we're adjusting, we're making sure we're doing all these things too, right? We want to reduce, the amount of stabilizations you have in your spine, and that way that you can start to express better health as well. So what to do when you're already doing sick, okay, or let's say getting well? You want to rest. You don't want to exercise, right? All right, we talked about that. You want to make sure that you're leaving all that energy for that immune system to function the way it needs to. You want to sleep as much as possible. Get extra adjustments, all right? Come to the chiropractor, get adjusted. Make sure that immune system's functioning well. Make sure that nervous system's functioning well. And all those connections are working properly. You want to limit and avoid stressful situations. No sugar. Drink water. Simple, nutrient-dense foods. Broths and soup, supplementation. Give your body time, but take action, right? Do something, right? Don't just one thing. Try to get all these things accomplished, okay? Very, very important. And no procrastination. You need to get checked. You need to call to action, right? Don't procrastinate. Make sure you're scheduling these visits. Okay, make sure you're scheduling a consultation. If you're not expressing good health, get checked now. Don't wait. Hear it all the time in our office. Especially with the men that are in our community, they tend to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And sometimes it might be too late, but oftentimes it's so far in advance the issue that it's going to take a lot longer time to get you better, right? So we want to make sure that you're not procrastinating, you're getting checked as quickly as possible. So the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra, right? So do something, take action, all right? There could be all the difference, even if it's just one little step today, one little step tomorrow. That little difference, all right, can be ordinary and extraordinary, even if it's just a little bit at a time. So I encourage you to do so, okay? I want to thank you for listening in on this workshop. I hope you found it informative. By all means, go ahead and comment. If you have questions, you can certainly email me as well. You can get on my website and access it there. Comment on Facebook, comment on the YouTube page. I'd be more than glad to answer any questions. So make sure that, let this fire burn nice and bright, nice and make sure you got lots of good fuel. Make sure you got good amount of air, and make sure you got a really good spark, okay, to make sure that fire inside your immune system burns as bright as possible. Hope you have a great evening, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next workshop on March 27th, 6 o'clock in my office. Obviously, you won't make it. We will go ahead and post that online as well, but we look forward to seeing you, your family and friends. By all means, invite anyone. Just let us know you're coming. Get on the Facebook page and just register for the event and let us know you're coming. Thanks. Have a good night.